All right, we're going to be doing some more rationals. Tonight's homework is worksheet number 31. If you could take that out so I can tell you what I omitted. So take out worksheet 31, please. I'm going to do them with you. It is two-sided. You are not going to do the second side yet. You're only going to do this side right here. Only do the left-hand side. So you're only going to do numbers 38 through 55. So for those of you who are going to copy tonight, now you know what numbers you need to copy, 38 through 55. If you don't have your work shown, then I'm assuming that you just went on an app and screenshotted it and got your answers. You have to show me your work. Not because I'm not teacher, I'm not saying you have to do it because I want to see it and prove it to me. It's because I need to be able to find your mistakes. If you don't have your work, how can I tell you what you did wrong? Like, I have no idea. Question answer is not going to be able to tell me what we did wrong. So we're going to do numbers 38 through 55. I'm going to do the odds with you as much as I can, and then the evens you'll be able to do on your own. So as a reminder, when we're adding and subtracting fractions, so let's say I have 1/2 plus 2/3, I would have to have a common denominator. So the common denominator would be 6, so this guy would need a 3. So whatever I do to the denominator, I need to do to the numerator. So this guy needs a 2. And that means I would have to multiply top and bottom by 2. So whatever I do to the numerator, I need to do to the denominator. So now the denominators are equal. So whenever the denominators are equal, now you can move on. So that means you're going to highlight the denominators. And then now you say, okay, 1 times 3, that's 3. Plus 2 times 2, which is 4. This is over 6 and over 6. So my final answer is 7 over 6. I didn't say 7 over 12. You don't add the denominators as well. So the same thing's going to hold true for rational equations and rational expressions. All right, let's jump into it. We're going to start with number 39. Before we start 39, I do want to give you just the rough sketch of the steps. The first thing that you do is you make the denominators the same, or you guys have heard the word common denominators. Secondly, you're going to add or subtract the numerators. And what you're not going to do is do not add the denominators. You're going to leave the denominators as is. So we're going to keep this in mind as we're working on these problems, starting off with number 39. You'll notice number 39 already has a common denominator, so we can basically skip to step number 2. So if you take a look at number 39, I have an r minus 3 over r squared plus 7r plus 10. There's a minus sign here, and then a r minus 1. Notice that anytime that there's a polynomial up here, I'm going to put parentheses around it, because that's it's just one big number. You're not allowed to treat it as 2 or 3 separate numbers. This is one whole number. So since the denominators are the same, I can skip to number 2, which is add or subtract the numerator. So here, this negative is like the same thing as a -1. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute that -1. So I have an r minus 3 up here, and then I have a -1 times r, which is minus r, and then a -1 times a -1, which is +1. I'm still not done because I can combine like terms. R minus r, well, that's just going to cancel and go away. And I'm left with -3 plus 1, which is -2 on top. All over the denominator, which is r squared plus 7r plus 10. And that's number 39. Questions on 39? Sean, do you have any questions? Can you do this on your own, or you sure? Number 41. This time the denominators are not the same. Please take my advice and space out your fractions, because what's going to happen is you're going to have to multiply both of them by something, and you want to make sure there's enough space. So don't write it all close together. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a plus sign, but then I'm going to space it out so that there's room. So I notice here that this guy has an n plus 5, but this guy does not have an n plus 5, so I need to give him an n plus 5. So I'm going to give them an n plus 5. Whatever I do to the numerator, I need to do to the denominator. This guy needs a 4n minus 3, so whatever I do to the numerator, I need to also do to the denominator. Now these denominators say the same thing. N plus 5, 4n minus 3. N plus 5, 4n minus 3. I'm going to ask you to take your highlighter, and that's going to tell you when you're ready to move on to the numerator, because once you highlight the denominators and they're the same, then you can move on. Otherwise, you cannot move on. Now I need to just FOIL this out, so I have n minus 3 times 4n minus 3 plus 5 times n plus 5. Basically going to FOIL this out. I'm going to do everybody times everybody, basically. N times 4n, that's 4n squared. N times negative 3, that's negative 3n. Negative 3 times 4n, that's negative 12n. And then negative 3 times negative 3 is a positive 9. Just got to make sure I know how to FOIL, and I FOIL correctly. Now I just distribute this. 5 times n plus 5, and I have 5 times n, that's 5n. And then 5 times 5, that's 25. If you want, Miho, you can put February on top and March on the bottom to save you time, so you don't have to do another one for March. So now let's clean it up. We're going to combine like terms. It looks like we have negative 3n and a negative 12n and a positive 5n. We're going to have to combine all of those bad boys. There's no more n squared terms, so it's just 4n squared. Negative 3n and a negative 12n, that's negative 15n. Negative 15 plus a 5, that's negative 10n. Then we have this 9 and 25, which is going to give me plus 34. All over n plus 5 and 4n minus 3. We'll go over simplifying in a second, but I just want to make sure that we can get this hard part done first. Questions on 41? Am I going too fast? All right, let's go on to 43. Again, space it out, so I have 6 times r minus 2. I'm going to put parentheses, plus, I have a 5r plus 1 over 3. I notice that this guy has a 3, but this does not, so I need to give him a 3. Just give what the other guy does not have. This guy has an r plus minus 2, so this guy needs an r minus 2. This says 3 times r minus 2. This says 3 times r minus 2. Grab your highlighter. Now you know you're ready because the denominator is the same. Once the denominators are the same, now you can move on. 6 times 3, that's going to be 18. That part's easy. Now I just need to FOIL this out. So I need to go 5r times r, that's 5r squared. 5r times negative 2, that's negative 10r. 1 times r is just r. And then 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And then we're going to add those. So there's only one r squared term, so that's 5r squared. We have a negative 10r and a positive r, so that's going to give me negative 9r. Then we have this negative 2 and this positive 18, which gets me 16. All over 3 times r minus 2. What do you guys think? Questions on 43? Yes?
Can you just distribute 3?
You could. There's many ways to write your answers. I just want you to recognize in all ways. Question? 45. I'm going to take it up a notch now. I'm trying to do as much as I can with you, so all you have to do is worry about is the evens. 3 over 4 times n minus 3 plus 6n. What's under that 6n that's not there, but it's there? A 1. Very good. How come it's not 0? Can't divide by 0. Okay? So some people think, oh, there's nothing there. It's a 0. Well, then if there's a 0 there, then it would be undefined. So it looks like this guy needs everything. Like, it literally has none of these. So you have to give him a 4 and the n minus 3. And again, put those in parentheses so it's easy for you to identify what's combined together. So now I see that my denominators are the same. I can highlight. I'm ready to go. 3 is just 3. This is what my kids messed up a lot on last year. How do you multiply this? How do you do this? Do you distribute the 4, or do you multiply 4 times 6 and then distribute? What do you do? Akil? That's one way to do it. Very good. Akil just said distribute the 4 and then distribute the 6n. You could totally do that. What's another way to do it, Chris? Yes, I would multiply the constants first in the linear and then distribute. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. The reason why I would do that is because sometimes there's another number over here that you got to mess with, and you don't want to distribute 3 times. So combine these first. 4 times 6n, that's 24n, and you're going to multiply that by n minus 3. Did I lose anybody there? You guys good? Kayla, you good? All right, now distribute. So I have 3 plus 24n squared minus 72n. Let's just put it in order now. 24n squared minus 72n plus 3 over 4 times n minus 3. Questions on 45? 47. Six over 2x plus 6 over 2x plus 1. Let's go ahead and put parentheses over that. Let's see if you fall for it. Does this guy have a 2x? Huh? Oh, thank you, babe. Does this guy have a 2x? Does this guy have a 2x? Remember I said parentheses, this is one whole number, right? So this guy has a 2x, this guy has a 2x plus 1. Those are two different numbers. Is 2x the same number as 2x plus 1? No, because if I plug in 3, the answer for this is 6, and the answer for this is 7, because 2x is 6, and 2x plus 1 is 7. That's two different numbers. So when I ask you, does this guy have 2x, you're going to say, no, he has 2x plus 1. You with me? Who did I lose there? So this guy has a 2x, this guy does not have a 2x. Do you see it? That's two different numbers. So you're going to have to give them what they don't have. This guy has a 2x, this guy does not, so you need to give them the 2x. You see it? Ready? This guy has a 3, this guy does not, so you need to give them the 3. This guy has a 2x plus 1. Can you just put plus 1 here? Can you just do that? No. You have to give them 2x plus 1, the whole thing. Those were two different numbers. Now, I see that my denominator says 3, 3, 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1, 2x, 2x. Now I'm ready to go. Focus on my numerator now. Remember when I asked you how do I do this? And some people said, oh, distribute the 3 and then distribute the 6. You could do that. But what do I think you should do so you don't have to distribute so many times? Multiply it. So 6 times 3 is
18.
And then distribute. So 18 times 2x plus 1. And then plus 6 times 2x, which is 12x. Now we're going to distribute. So that's 36x plus 18 plus 12x. So I get 48x plus 18 over 3 times 2x times 2x plus 1. God bless you, honey. But we're gonna take it up a notch. Because now that we know how to do this, now I can simplify. You guys, back in the day when you learned fractions and you took a little test and the answer was 5/10, and you looked for the answer, was that the answer that was one of your choices? What would it be?
1/2.
1/2, because they reduced it. So we have to do the same thing. Now that we know how to do it, I didn't want to do it in the beginning because I didn't want to overwhelm you. But now that you know how to do it, now you have to reduce it. How do you reduce it? Well, let's see what we can take out of here and cancel. What can I take out of a 48x and an 18?
6.
Can you take out a 6? Yeah. Isn't there a 6 down here? So look what's going to happen here. Take out a 6, and I'm left with 8x plus 3. Agreed? Everybody with me?
Yes.
And then on the bottom, don't I have 3 times 2? That's 6, isn't it? And then an x. And then a 2x plus 1. So what's going to cancel? The 6's. You're allowed to cancel the 6's because they're not attached to a plus or a minus. Like, you're not allowed to reduce this 8 and 2. What is this 8 attached with? The x plus 3. What is this 2 attached with? X plus 1. So you can't reduce this 8 and 2. Is this 6 attached by anything? Is this attached? No, right? There's no 6x plus some. It's just 6, right? So that's going to get canceled. So my final answer is 8x plus 3 over x times 2x plus 1. And if you want to FOIL that out, you could. You get 2x squared plus x. You could do that as well. Ms. Riad, is this answer wrong? No. But I just don't want you to take the multiple choice test and be like, oh my God, my answer is not there. When it's there, you just have to simplify it. Questions on how to simplify? All right, make yourself a note here. You're not allowed to cancel. If attached by a plus or minus. You can't cancel numbers that are attached inside of a binomial. You can't do that. All right, 5 seconds in your group. Make sure everybody understands. I want to hear conversation. Why were you allowed to cancel these 6s but not reduce that 8 and 2? Go, talk to each other. Tara, can you tell me why you're allowed to reduce these 6s? And why are you not allowed to reduce that 8 and 2? Very good. Nicely done. Number 49. How are you doing, babe? How are you doing? All right, we got 3a over 6. This time I have a minus sign. And then I have 2a minus 6, and then a 2a plus 3. Notice I'm putting stuff in parentheses right away so that I don't get it mixed up. This guy has a 6, this guy does not, so I need to give him a 6. This guy has a 2a plus 3, this guy does not, so I need to give them 2a plus 3. This negative right here is the same thing as -1. So if you don't like it, you can put parentheses around it and know that you're going to be multiplying it out. But don't treat it as a positive. It's a -1 there. So let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to take this 3a and distribute it. 3a times 2a. And since my denominators are the same, I can move on. So 3a times 2a is 6a squared. 3a times 3, that's 9a. What did Ms. Riad recommend you do when you have a number? You have a 6, you have a -1, and then you have a 2a minus 6. Remember Akil said you could just multiply everything by 6 and then multiply everything by -1? Remember that? Remember that? Or what could you do? Multiply the 6 times -1 and then distribute. Okay? So I'm going to recommend you do this. -6 times 2a minus 6. That's what I think you should do. -1 times 6 is -6, and then distribute it. So -6 and 2a, that's -12a, and then -6 and a -6, that's plus 36. Who did I lose there? ¿Todo está bien? All right. Now, do I multiply this -1 down here too? No, don't make stuff up. I didn't say because there's a negative you multiply everywhere. Remember the denominators have to stay the same, right? If I multiply by a negative, are the denominators the same anymore? No. So leave it alone. All you're focusing on is the numerator. So far, so good? All right, now let's just clean up shop. Clean it up. This guy and this guy are like terms. So I have 6a squared minus 3a plus 36. What can I factor out? Oh, 3. Why not a 6? Can you take a 6 out of here? No. So take out a 3. What are you left with? Hello, talk to me. What are you left with? 2a squared minus a plus 12 over 6 and then 2a plus 3. Do you see what I see? Can you cancel? What can you reduce? The 3 and the 6, right? What does 3 over 6 reduce to? 1/2, right? So my final answer is 2a squared minus a plus 12 over 2 times 2a plus 3. Can I reduce these twos? Why not? Because is attached by a plus or a minus. You can't do that. What do you guys think? Doable? Questions on number 49? All right, do 51 by yourself. Consider it a joyo. See if you can do it by yourself.